So on the Libertarian Party of Minnesota's website, they've got you listed as a small farmer. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I decided to kind of peruse Congress's website and see what kind of bills that Tina Smith has sponsored. And one of them, you don't have to know the bill. I'll just give you an overall summary. But if you happen to know it, that'll be interesting. It's the Livestock Consolidation Research Act of 2026. And in simple terms, this bill is basically designed to investigate how a few large companies have gained control over the American meat and dairy industries and how that shift affects everyone from the farmer to the person buying groceries. So what this bill would do is it would direct the Economic Research Service, ERS, the data gathering arm of the Department of Agriculture, to just study consolidation, in the livestock industry. So it looks like it's just a reporting thing. Because you're a farmer, I'm just curious, and you're a small farmer, so the consolidation might be something that, I presume would impact you. What is your thought on that?
Well,
without knowing the details, I know.
So when they're talking about consolidation of small or farms in general, what is happening in Minnesota, just specifically, for instance, over the last couple of years, we're losing between 1,200 and 1,500 family farms a year. Like that's how fast family farms right now are folding. And it's not because like farms can't do things for themselves, but it's because that the state laws and the federal regulation and the state regulation is so much that it's impossible to succeed with a small farm while using the old ways of doing things. So for instance, if you have a contract and you're a chicken farmer, if you have a contract with a corporation and you're, raising, a baby chicken's called a pullet or a cockerel, and you're raising these for meat birds, it's usually between hatching to harvest or, like processing them is about 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. Usually they try to keep it at 8 weeks because after 8 weeks start losing money. What has happened is because of federal and state regulation is that the facilities that you have to have on your farm to be able to raise these birds where you're almost making nothing on already. They keep making it more and more difficult to be able to meet the regulations so that you can continue what you're doing. They'll say, well, your facility needs an upgrade, your HVAC system or your ventilation, all of these things, they need a certain amount of, which is all like fine, but all of that costs a lot of money. And when you're talking about rebuilding a facility that you already have an adequate facility, it just doesn't meet code basically for state and federal regulations, and having to give out the money to be able to keep, meet their regulations so that you can keep making pennies on a dollar for the amount of money that you're spending on feed and housing and all this kind of things. And it's a lot of manual labor too. This is a lot of manual labor. A lot of people are deciding it's not worth it. Now, the corporate farms, the really big ones, what has happened is that when small farms start shutting down, especially at this rate, you start the median size of a farm starts going up. And I think the medium size of farm right now in Minnesota it's around 350 acres, something like that, which isn't big. I only have 6 acres. That's really small compared to, what a lot of people have. But when that median, size of your farm starts going up, it's because all of these farms that are smaller of it are at a greater risk for shutting down. So when they're talking about like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to try to figure out why, these farms are consolidating, it's them, it's their fault. This is the natural reaction, the natural outcome of putting too many burdens on family farms. And so I work one of the things that I do, I don't work, I volunteer, but I help keep our local farmers market running. There's a board. Everything that we do is on volunteer hours. We don't have a market manager. We just do it all ourselves. But it's good for us to do that because then, for my farm, I have a booth at the farmers market. That's my summer income, basically.
Okay.
And I can tell you exactly where we have like basically pockets of products that are just unavailable. And it's not because people don't have them and can't produce them. It's because the state has at some point just deemed it illegal with the things that we have at our disposal. I raise dairy cows and I have a micro dairy. For me to be able to build a facility to be able to take cheese, for instance, to our farmers market, I'm looking at between $800,000, 900, maybe close to $1 million of investment to be able to take cheese to a farmer's market. Because there is no provisions, the same regulations that the corporate farms have for the big dairies. I'm talking about dairies that might have 1,000 cows that they're milking every single day, twice a day, actually. I have to meet the same regulations and the same, infrastructure guidelines, all of the same things that they do. If I want to milk 3 to 4 cows a day and then turn around and use that milk to make it's called a value added product, yogurt, cheese, that kind of stuff. I would have the same facility. I'd have to have a certified kitchen, rubber stamped by the government to say, yes, you can create a product here from dairy, but I don't have to have that if I want to bake bread or make cookies for the farmer's market. So it's not that we can't, it's just that they won't allow it. And so this is why corporate farms and the consolidation of farms is taking over. It's not because of us, it's because of them. And so they have zero self-awareness. That's why I kind of started laughing when you said what the bill was, because no self-awareness whatsoever. These people have absolutely no idea what they're dealing with. And they don't realize that 20 years from now, we're literally at the beginning of a food crisis if something on the current path doesn't change.